Bible verses about evil. Evil is very real and present in the world. The Bible tells us that we are all born with sin, and that even some of God's people are wolves in sheep's clothing. However, even as sinners, we are still giving a conscience that help us not give into evil urges. Feelings of shame and guilt are right emotions that guide us. These Bible verses about evil will help you determine the difference between an evil heart or an ordinary sinful heart. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 6. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. 1 John chapter 5 verse 19. We know that we are children of God and that the whole world is under the control of the evil one. 1 Kings chapter 14 verse 9. You have done more evil than all who lived before you. You have made for yourself other gods, idols made of metal. You have aroused my anger and turned your back on me. 1 Kings chapter 17 verse 13. Elijah said to her, Don't be afraid. Go home and do as you have said. But first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me. And then make something for yourself and your son. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 9. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. 1 Samuel chapter 12 verse 20. Do not be afraid. Samuel replied, You have done all this evil, yet do not turn away from the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse 23. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of adultery. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 2. Reject every kind of evil. 2 Chronicles chapter 29 verse 6. Our parents were unfaithful. They did evil in the eyes of the Lord, our God, and forsook him. They turned their faces away from the Lord's dwelling place and turned their backs on him. 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 22. Flee the evil desires of youth and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Isaiah 32 verse 6. For fools speak folly, their hearts are bent on evil. They practice ungodliness and spread error concerning the Lord. The hungry they leave empty, and from the thirsty they withhold water. John chapter 3 verse 20. Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. Judges chapter 2 verse 19. But when the judge died, The people returned to ways even more corrupt than those who their ancestors, following other gods and serving and worshipping them. They refused to give up their evil practice and stubborn ways. Job chapter 4 verse 8. As I have observed, those who plow evil and those who sow trouble reap it. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 7. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 16. For they cannot rest until they do evil. They are robbed of sleep till they make someone stumble. Proverbs chapter 8 verse 13. To fear the Lord is to hate evil. I hate pride and arrogance, evil behavior and perverse speech. Proverbs chapter 10 verse 29. The way of the Lord is a refuge for the blameless, but it is the ruin of those who do evil. Matthew chapter 12 verse 34 to 35. You brood of vipers, how can you who are evil say anything good? For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. A good man brings good things out of the good store up in him, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in him. James chapter 1 verse 13 and 14. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. James chapter 3 verse 6 to 8. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. All kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures are being tamed and have been tamed by mankind. But no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, full of deadly poison. Romans chapter 2 verse 29. No, a person is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is circumcision of the heart, by the Spirit, not by the written code. Such a person's praise is not from other people, but from God. Romans chapter 2 verse 8 to 12. But for those who are self-seeking and who reject the truth and follow evil, there will be wrath and anger. There will be trouble and distress for every human being who does evil, first for the Jew, then for the Gentile. But glory, honor, and peace for everyone who does good, first for the Jew, then for the Gentile. For God does not show favoritism. All who sin apart from the law will also perish apart from the law, and all who sin under the law will be judged by the law. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12 to 16. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 16 to 22. The wise fear the Lord and shun evil, but a fool is hot headed and yet feels secure. A quick tempered person does foolish things, and the one who devises evil schemes is hated. The simple inherit fully, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Evildoers will bow down in the presence of the good, and the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor are shunned even by their neighbors, but the rich have many friends. It is a sin to despise one's neighbor, but blessed is the one who is kind to the needy. Do not those who plot evil go astray, but those who plan what is good find love and faithfulness. Romans chapter 7, verse 19 to 25. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Now, if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who do it, but it is sin living in me that does it. So I find this law at work. Although I want to do good, evil is right there with me. For in my inner being I delight in God's law. But I see another law at work in me, waging war against the law of my mind and making me a prisoner of the law of sin at work within me. What a wretched man I am! Who will rescue me from this body that is subject to death? Thanks be to God who delivers me through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then, I myself, in my mind, am a slave to God's law, but in my sinful nature, a slave to the law of sin. Matthew chapter 13, verse 36 to 43. Then he left the crowd and went into the house. His disciples came to him and said, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field." He answered, "The one who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed stands for the people of the kingdom. The weeds are the people of the evil one, and the enemy who sow them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvester are angels. As the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears, let them hear." Proverbs chapter 6, verse 12 to 19. A troublemaker and a villain, he goes about with a corrupt mouth, who winks maliciously with his eye, signals with his feet, and mentions with his fingers, who plots evil with deceit in his heart. He always stirs up conflict. Therefore, disaster will overtake him in an instant. He will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1 to 8. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the Son of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit will not contend with human forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, "I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them." But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 2 to 10. Those who have believing masters should not show them disrespect just because they are fellow believers. Instead, they should serve them even better because their masters are dear to them as fellow believers and are devoted to the welfare of their slaves. These are the things you are to teach and insist on. If anyone teaches otherwise and does not agree to the sound instruction of our Lord Jesus Christ and do godly teaching, they are conceited and understand nothing. They have an unhealthy interest in controversies and quarrels about words that result in envy, strife, malicious talk, evil suspicions, and constant friction between people of corrupt mind who have been robbed of the truth and who think that godliness is a means to a financial gain. But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and praised themselves with many griefs. Psalms 34, verse 13 to 21. Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies. Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to blot out their name from the earth. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. He protects all his bonds, not one of them will be broken. Evil will slay the wicked, the foes of the righteous will be condemned.